Welcome back, sports fans, to the Hayden Haley Colonial Sports Podcast, where we cover all things colonial sports related. As always, I'm your host, Hayden Haley. Now, with me today, I have a very special guest that's practically royalty. It's the Queen of Assist herself, state champion Kaitlyn Flanagan. Kaitlyn, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, of course. We got a lot of good stuff coming up ahead. But first, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, hobbies, likes, dislikes, all that good stuff.
All right. So obviously, as you said, I play basketball. I also play soccer at the school here. I just really enjoy being involved. I'm also in the steering committee as vice president, and so just kind of planning stuff around school. I really enjoy that kind of stuff.
That's good. Playing both sports, very good. I do that myself. I play golf and lacrosse, but not about me. And getting involved, I'm sure, helps, with your sports and all that, kind of the same mentality. So now, again, you brought something very special with you today. I have your favorite drink on deck.
Yes, thank you. This is my favorite drink.
That's good.
Oh, it's cold.
Yeah.
It's nice.
I brought 2 ice packs today. That certainly helps.
Perfect.
So,
Right.
Cheers.
Cheers, yeah.
That ear candy right there.
Yes.
Does this come with you on the court usually?
It's honestly more of a pregame drink for me because I'm all water during games. I can't get anything else down. But
yeah, don't want to interrupt that flow.
No, definitely not.
This comes with me on the golf course a lot. I don't know. I've tried from cola to seltzer, sparkling water. I don't know. It seems to just click. So I understand that flow for sure.
Yes.
Now to start off, we're going to start out with the stat review. A review of your stats from this season. No preseason. Regular season and postseason. You played all 34 games, which is impressive, day in, day out. You also won 34 games, the team. Your points per game were 7.6. You averaged just about 3 rebounds per game. You had 5.5 assists, just about 3 steals. And that's about it. So, I mean, in the business, I call that a junior triple-double, which is that's pretty cool. Did you know you had those stats?
No, not really. I don't pay attention to stats much, but it's cool to hear afterwards, I guess.
Yeah, especially after it was all said and done. A very successful season, like I said, but we'll get to that more in the show. Now here's on to the next section called Signature Moves. We're going to look at some of your, signature moves. So let's get right into it. You're a very good passer. I mean, you can see that with the 5.5 assists per game. You led the team in assists throughout the year. Just kind of, what's your advice to like young players and how to practice a good pass?
I would just say that the more you do it, the better you get at it, obviously. So doing it in games is honestly the best way to get better. And then if you want something to do at home, just practicing left and right passing, because at some point you're going to need both.
Yeah, well, we saw that flashy wraparound, weird type of bounce passes all throughout the season. Very exciting stuff. So next, about the steals. A lot of assists and passing and steals kind of go hand in hand. You see that throughout, NBA, WNBA, college. A lot of the best passers are also really good at stealing. Would you say there are any type of correlation about like how to, see the ball and the hand-eye coordination? Would you say?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you're used to passing a lot, you can probably get better at like kind of reading it too, maybe on the defensive end. And I also think it's just about impacting the game in other ways than scoring for those types of players too.
Well, I also think on both sides of the court, you'd be up top anyway,
right?
Up near the key.
Yes, usually.
Especially if you run a zone defense or any type of play like that. Now, next thing for a point guard such as yourself, communication is key. And you'd hear that through the cameras, or if you're at a game live, just kind of what's your advice to young players on like kind of what to say and how to direct traffic, because it's very important.
Definitely. I would just say don't be afraid to say what you know. Sometimes players will kind of know the right thing to do on the court and will be kind of timid to direct some of their teammates, but they want to hear it from you before they hear it from a coach, kind of thing. You're their trusted teammate, so if you know what's going on, definitely help out your teammates with that communication.
Nice. A coach will kind of break stuff down in the huddle at a timeout. End of the quarter. Yeah. Halftime locker room. Big time to make adjustments like that. So
definitely.
On the court's good. Now this will take me into my next section here. Just kind of to start, how'd you start out your basketball career and get to where you are now?
I started out pretty young, probably around like first grade. I think that was my first like organized basketball. And then from there, I've just played it the whole time, kind of like practicing the driveway, then getting into kind of going to gyms more and working out on my own, that kind of stuff. You just kind of grow to love it.
Yeah, would you play like for multiple teams and do different camps throughout, just kind of always keep doing basketball?
Yeah, like soccer and everything kind of has their season. Like I was the kind of kid that did everything, but basketball kind of always just went year round with like practicing camps, like you said, that kind of stuff.
Play it in a warm gym in the wintertime. You can play it outside in the summer. I like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Was there a particular moment this season that you knew you could make a playoff run?
I mean, it was always the goal to make a playoff run. I feel like once we got through some of the tougher teams in our division, like Abington was a big test for us, I think, and then also some out-of-league games. We ended up playing Carroll at one point. When we were not only competing but like pulling out wins against these kind of teams, I think that's when it kind of set in, like, okay, we could kind of make a pretty deep run into the playoffs.
Good. How does it feel to be part of a Colonials basketball program with such a rich history of winning?
It feels great. I mean, I talk about it towards the end of the season. Some kind of reporters were asking about that type of thing, and seeing it's really just like a family culture that we have. Like I just remember going to watch like Taylor O'Brien and like those girls play
back in the days.
Exactly, and it just kind of continued down into what we have today.
Yeah. What's your relationship with your coaches, and how do you think they made you better?
I think that I have a really good relationship with all of my coaches. They all balance each other really well. We have Coach D, who's our head coach, Delucia, and Coach B, who are the two assistants. And just their strengths really balance each other so well, and I think that helps them really just be such a strong coaching staff for all of us. Yeah,
you even got a little taste of Coach Tornambi towards the end of the season after he finished with freshman basketball. And just a fun fact, all 3 of 4 coaches are math teachers here at the school.
Yes, they are.
Kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. They love the numbers. They love the stats, too, of basketball. That's part of it.
It's good to have numbers people on deck.
Yes.
And would you say you watch a lot of basketball? I mean, I know the NBA playoffs are in full swing and the WNBA just started again. Like, do you kind of like pick moves off the TV and try to replicate them, or is it all right off the dome?
I mean, I definitely love watching basketball. Kind of whenever I get the chance, it'll be on the TV. Playoffs are super fun. I'm a big Sixers fan, obviously, so watching them. Hopefully they'll get the win tonight too.
Yep, Game 6.
Yep.
Game, yeah.
And I mean, my favorite NBA player is Chris Paul, and I wouldn't say I exactly like pick moves, but I definitely like his game. He's a point guard too, so I like his game. A lot of
resemblance, yeah. He probably led the league in steals once upon a time.
Yeah, at some point.
So now I'm going to leave this opportunity for you to talk about your other sports. I know you said you played soccer and even some previous seasons of basketball. Just kind of, how'd those go?
So I've played soccer, same thing, kind of like most of my life. I remember like Pee Wee soccer. And up until high school started, I did play like club soccer too. And it was kind of like, which one am I going to like kind of pick to commit to? And I ended up picking basketball because that was kind of what I love the most. But I've always really enjoyed soccer. It's just such a fun sport for me to play. I play center back on our soccer team. And it kind of reminds me of the point guard position, just kind of being back there, directing traffic. So I do really love soccer, and having that kind of fall little break just gets me so excited for when basketball comes back and just kind of come in like really fresh. Yeah.
Would you say there are kind of similarities between soccer and basketball, and it's what makes you good at both sports?
Definitely. Yeah. I can totally see similarities, especially defensively, like constantly trying to keep your girl in front, like moving your feet, communication definitely correlates between both. But yeah, defense and communication, I would say.
That's good. And we saw that translate with the 3 steals this season. So yeah, good. It's good to kind of have that connections. So now we're gonna talk about some key games this moment. Get to hear from you, break it down, some of the stuff that we saw on and off the court. So first off, 31 of the 34 games were won by double digits, which is really impressive. You guys were ranked number 23 in the nation, first in the state, and first in the district bracket. Quite clearly, you won the state championship. We'll talk about that later. So first off, it was a big win against Great Valley. I believe that was one of the first games in the district bracket.
Yeah.
Just kind of what happened with that?
So that was a home game, and that was such a great crowd turnout. That's kind of what sticks out to me from that game. And yeah, it was just kind of a great way to like open up the district playoffs, I would say. And it was nice to kind of get that win under our belt,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how we felt about that one.
You guys had home court advantage all throughout the playoffs, really, until they started going out to Temple and, of course, the Giant Center and a few other meeting places as we got closer and closer to March. So now after that, you played Pennsbury, which was at home, and there was a really big crowd there for both sides. I think Pennsbury actually brought just about 300 fans, which is ridiculous. And they also had one of the best players in the state, I think number 1 or number 2 in the state, and you guys had a really good defensive game to really shut her down. I think only held her to about 10, 12 points. Kind of how'd you go about that in practice that week and lock up on D?
Yeah, so defensively, our kind of defensive specialist is actually Erin Daly. She's a junior on our team, and she always steps up. To that challenge of guarding the other team's best player, her name's Ava Sciola. She actually ended up being named the best player in the state this year.
Yeah.
And so for her to kind of step up and for the first, I believe, 3 quarters held her to very low scoring, which is kind of her game. That's the way she impacts the game. That was really impressive. And like you said, the crowd, that was just such a fun experience. Like being a girls team to kind of get that turnout was really, really special.
Almost like having an away crowd on your home stadium. So that was certainly impressive how you guys handled that, and I think won that game by 9-10 points. That was kind of like the bread and butter of your games almost. Once you kind of got to that 9-10 point deficit late in the fourth, I mean, they were just forced to foul you, and you would pay them in free throws.
Yeah, definitely.
Very good free throw percentage throughout the board among your teammates, including yourself. So now the next game that we're going to cover is the Springford game. You got really no home court there. You're at the Leocora Center at Temple, and that was a big win. Just kind of from my memory, it seemed like you kind of had them the entire game. It was 0-0, and then next thing you know, it was like 8-2, and then 10-2, and that buzzer beater at the half seemed to really seal the deal.
Yeah, that was a super special shot. Abby Sharp, other junior on our team, she stepped up and hit that shot right in front of Springford's bench second half. And that just gave us such a momentum boost, I think, going into the locker room.
That was a deep 3, too.
Yeah, definitely.
Good couple steps behind the line.
Yeah, she has that range, though, and she takes that shot confidently. But, yeah, that game was super special, obviously, for the district championship, to play at Temple and to have lost the district championship last year to Springford. It was definitely kind of like a payback game in our mind and with something at stake, and so we all treated it that way.
Yeah, for sure. So now we're going to now cover the state bracket, and your first game was Manheim District, I believe at home again. Kind of how was that first game of states? Like, what were the emotions? What was going through your mind?
Yeah, so you said, so we were the 1 seed in states, and so we got, for the first round, we had a home game, and so that would be, for the seniors, 4 of us, that was going to be our last home game, ever in this gym. And so with states starting, that's obviously the main focus, and we want to win in advance because losing, you're done, but also the fact that it was going to be our last game there was special and brought out another big crowd. So that was fun to kind of get the state run started at home.
Yeah, good. Now the next game you played was Northampton. I remember watching that on my laptop. It was a fun game.
Yeah.
But what were some key moments in that game, you think?
That game was definitely fun. Northampton was a super physical team. It was actually played in Springford's gym, which is funny because it's neutral sites.
Yep.
But it was definitely a fun game. I remember we came out pretty slow in the first quarter, and then we really picked it up second quarter and third quarter. We ended up going on some pretty good runs, and I remember same thing, right before halftime, Erin Daly got an and one, and that was another big momentum boost. And it's plays like that that really push us forward in those kinds of games.
Those momentum swings, you see that a lot, all levels of basketball, really, and it's shocking how it can really just change the outcome of a game like that.
Definitely.
So now next game is, I believe this would be the quarterfinals, Perkiomen Valley.
Yes.
Another neutral site. And it's kind of what was going on in that game.
So after the Northampton game, we actually watched PV. That's just how I abbreviate it. They were playing Methacton, and we were going to play the winner of that game. So it was nice because that was kind of our first look at them this year. And they came out, and we were like, either of these teams is going to be tough.
Right.
And so we came out. They have a lot of really good shooters, and they have a big who's a freshman and who was really tough down low. And so we came out of that game, and just one thing that sticks out is just how many full court passes we got that game. I don't really know why. We were just pushing the ball a lot, and especially towards that, once again, I guess right before halftime run we got in. I think it was like 3 back-to-back just full court passes running out, and those types of plays are super fun.
Yeah, fun to watch.
Yeah.
Those little drop-back football passes.
Yes, definitely.
From like 3/4 court to find someone right at the basket. It's almost like you kind of like touchdown.
Exactly. Yeah, it's equally as fun to play. For sure.
For sure. Be right on the court. So our next game is the conference final game, which is Cedar Cliff. Kind of how are those like Final Four feelings? One game away from state.
Yeah, that game was really big because in the back of your mind, it's hard to not think about it, but you're like, we win this and we go to Hershey, and that's the goal. That's been the goal for 4 years, even longer. Like a lot of kids dream about winning state championships, and so having that in the back of your mind is a lot, and to try and kind of compartmentalize that, like we have to focus on winning this game. But yeah, same story. They had a really good freshman guard who really had like this breakout year, and she was the main person that we had to defend. Yeah. And Jordan Thomas, one of our starters, actually was out. Yeah. And so we basically played with like 6 players most of the game.
6-player rotation.
Yeah. And so we fought through that. One of our players actually ended up fouling out that game, and so it was definitely a grind. And to be able to come out and win, it was just really like ecstatic by everyone, and also just to try and win to give Jordan another chance to get back on the court. For sure. And you don't want senior to end her season not being able to play, knowing that maybe the next game she could have. Right. And so winning that game was definitely special, and we were all just extremely excited to have a chance to go win a state championship.
So speaking about that, that next game, X amount of days later, at the Giant Center at Hershey, first time a Colonial team made a state playoff appearance since 2010. Yep. And actually 2010 was the boys basketball team. I remember seeing flyers all about that around the elementary schools.
Yeah, definitely.
And Jordan Thomas did play, and she did start. In that game, I remember on the drive down, I was talking with my friends. We were like, this could be a game that goes into overtime, because, how they got there, they were a smaller team. Their tallest player was, I think, 5'10", but they were beating bigger teams, and you guys have 3 players 6 foot and over. But just kind of, got them from the get-go. But how was that that whole weekend, championship weekend, from Friday to Sunday? How was that on Friday going down and stuff? Yeah,
it was great. It ended up being kind of like this full experience that we got, and we definitely made the most of it. We ended up so we took the bus down, and actually before we headed out, we stopped by Colonial Elementary School, which is like right by our high school. Right. And all the kids were lined up out front with like signs, cheering and everything. Nice. And we got to hand out signed basketballs to some kids.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was like right before we headed off. So that was definitely like a cool memory of that travel day. And the night before the game, that was a team dinner that we had. And we were all kind of there it was a fun night. And then at the end of the night, we were kind of all just talking about like things to remember for the next day, and just how we were all kind of proud of each other no matter what happens, but let's go win the game kind of thing. Like that was the talk. But yeah, state championship, nerves are everywhere. Try and go to bed early if you can, if you can get sleep. And then the next day we kind of had like a schedule laid out for, we're going to do shoot around at this time, everything like that. But just like pulling up to the Giant Center, it's massive.
Probably.
The first time we had seen it was the night before we watched O'Hara play in their state championship, the girls, and we were just like, this court is massive. Yeah. And so you pull up the next day, kind of go like through this like tunnel thing to wherever the locker rooms are. It was a very cool experience. It's a balance between you're trying to like, oh my gosh, take it all in. I can't believe this is happening, and like trying to focus on basketball. Right. And all of that stuff kind of raced through your head, but I think we handled it well. Yeah. Stretching out on the court, trying to just look around the lights. It's different.
Different lighting. Yeah.
Yeah. And the hoop, like the wall in our gym is obviously like right behind the basket. in the Giant Center, it's probably like 100 feet away
It's
from
also
the basket.
it's also a hockey arena,
Yeah.
so it was like the court's not going from seat to seat. It's more like
No.
there's like some sort of like rubber flooring, just something to kind of pad, the back there, whatever they use. So something I realized also is it's a lot bigger than the Liacouras Center at Temple.
Yeah.
Like taller, wide, because you're trying to fit minor league hockey fans in there. I mean, I don't know how many there are, but smaller than like the Wells Fargo Center or something like that. But I mean, no Jim West.
No, definitely not. Yeah, and it's the biggest court that any of us have ever played on.
Yeah.
And so, we were like, oh, like we were at Temple, like maybe it'll be similar. It's different. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit bigger than Temple. But yeah, and then just to be in that game, I think we were all just very determined. Yeah, I just remember the focus that we all had right before the game, and I could kind of see in everyone's faces that I think, like, I kind of thought we were going to pull it off beforehand. Mm-hmm. And to be able to do it, it was very, I think I was in shock for like a couple of days. It didn't set in, you know? But like once it does, like it's something that none of us are ever going to forget, for sure.
Yeah. So now, can you break down a little bit about that game, maybe kind of what you did to prepare and stop Ashley Connors, who was their best player? You only held her to a dozen. Mm-hmm. So certainly the defense stepped up, but I believe the final score of that game was 60-40.
Yeah, something around that.
So, I mean, to put up 60 points, which I think that's what you guys averaged on the season, just about 55, 60 something, which is a lot. I mean, that's almost college numbers. It's kind of, how did you prepare for that game?
Yeah, I mean, same thing that you said. We when you were like driving it with your friends, that kind of thing. We had watched the Central Dauphin film, who's the team that they had beaten on their side of the bracket to get to this game, and they had multiple 6-footers. Like they kind of look similar to our team, and I'm watching this. I'm like, this is gonna be a tough game. Like they can match up. Yeah. And they can all really shoot the ball, not just Ashley Connor. Right. When she ends up having to give it up, they're knocking down threes.
Yeah, their shooting guards were very good, and you only held. I mean, I think she was the lead scorer on their team. I was constantly looking up at the, like the jumbotron thing with all the stats, and I was like, man, I mean, they're playing really both sides of the ball really well. I mean, it was your last game too, so that probably had something to do with it, all the seniors. But yeah, so it's overall really well prepared for.
Yeah, definitely. The game plan was just to make anyone but Ashley Connor beat us, kind of like make her give it up. If the other kids hit threes, make them hit another three, make them hit another three. And it ended up paying off, just
you had
stopping
their
best player.
That's
exactly.
Yeah,
I trust her on anyone.
Oh, yeah. And she had 2 inches. 2 inches on her. So that was, someone who could be very lateral movement, but also have that vertical, straight up kind of deal is very hard to sneak by.
Definitely.
So now, you win the championship, and then Sunday, I remember I got this email at 9 a.m. saying that there's going to be a parade. How was that? I mean, you're back on the coach bus and driving around with the trophy and your medals. How was that? That's an experience that I don't think anyone else but you, like 20 players ever had here.
Yeah, it was really surreal. We were coming off the highway, and so we were told that there was going to be some kind of like parade, like a kind of like people back at PW, whatever. We were like, okay, maybe our parents will be there, maybe like a friend kind of thing. And so we're coming off, and we see all of these like fire trucks, police cars lined up on the side of the highway. We're like, everyone just kind of like jaws just dropped.
Everyone out of their houses on Germantown was there.
It was insane. And so we're driving down. Germantown's shut down. I was like, oh, so this is like a parade. Like, then everyone was like, wow. Seeing people just parking their cars, stepping out, signs, everyone that had come to the game got back and came out early morning just to kind of congratulate us again. Feeling that support is really something that, like on that level, is something none of us had ever felt before. Seeing that many people come all the way out to Hershey and follow us through the playoffs, and then to kind of have it culminate in that kind of like welcome home type situation was really, really cool memory.
Well, that was something it seemed like you guys all had throughout the season, that kind of like family feeling. This team didn't really have any transfers. You guys all seemed to have come up through White Marsh basketball or Plymouth and the middle school. I know Mr. Kavanaugh has outside his room still posters of you guys and your pictures from middle school.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to see that all translate through high school. And, being in, Plymouth Meeting, White Marsh area, it's only like 45 minutes from Philadelphia. last time people got to experience a championship was that Eagles Super Bowl a while back. So these fans were definitely eager to have some sort type of winning again.
Yeah.
You guys brought that to us. Very thankful, and it seemed like it really paid off. So.
Yeah, well, we were thankful for the support for sure. That's something that we all kind of kept talking to each other about. Like, wow, like we're just super, super lucky to have people coming out and supporting us like that. Like, and we definitely thank everyone for coming out all season and that week leading up to just the support.
The amount of fans, the amount of red I saw
it was the Red Sea.
at Giant Center compared to the amount of people from Mount Lebanon was ridiculous. And even at Temple, there were just so many more people.
Yeah, it was crazy. Just the numbers, even I think
they increased.
Our coach said
rapidly increased throughout the season. More people were coming to games.
Our coach was saying that I think our game had the most fans out of any game that was played at the Giant Center that weekend, and that's a testament to the people from PW, the people that were from this area that came and supported this team, and so we're definitely thankful.
Yeah. Why don't you, did you bring the medal today?
I did.
Why don't you show us that? That thing is a work of art for sure.
Here it is. You can have I don't know where you want to hold it up at, but that's that's a state medal.
Piece right there.
Right there.
What camera are we looking at? Is it? I think it's that one. There it is.
There it is.
Nice. I'll give it back
Pretty
to you
cool.
there.
Thank you.
Bring any other type of anything else?
I mean, we're talking about fan support. So I brought this one thing. This was given to me by one of the girls there were a lot of little girls coming to our games too.
Yeah.
That play in White Marsh basketball, which is cool because that's where we all grew up playing.
Yep.
And they would make us signs. They would make us posters at the games. So this is one of them that someone gave me after the state championship. And this is something I will definitely keep. This is super artistic, too. I could never make something like this. I don't know if I'm holding it up right. There we go.
I think it's right there. Nice.
So this I was given, and that's just a testament to kind of how many people we had coming out.
Genuine sports memorabilia.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm going to keep that kind of stuff forever. Just kind of things from this season. So, yeah.
Sounds great. Well, that is actually. Hold on a sec. Nope, we're not wrapping up quite yet. Yes. What's kind of the future for you and your sports? You're gonna play college, or are you gonna pick basketball, soccer? What's kind of future? What's next?
Definitely basketball. That's kind of my. I decided probably in high school, that's kind of what I'm gonna end up doing. And I decided I wanted to try and play in college, and I'm lucky enough to have the opportunity to do that. I'm gonna be playing at Holy Cross, which is up in Massachusetts, and they play in the Patriot League. So I'm definitely excited for that. I'll be going up this summer.
Nice. Well, hopefully some Colonial fans will follow you out there. 3 of the 5 starters were seniors, and they are actually going to continue to play college basketball. Mm-hmm. I don't exactly know where. Well, now we know one of them. So that's great. That's great to see you continue your dream.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super excited.
That's good. It's good to be excited. So that will conclude our show for today. Thank you for joining me. It was a pleasure. I was glad we could make this work.
Thank you for having me.
For episode 3. We covered a lot of good stuff, and as always, thank you to Mr. McWilliams and Mr. Cahill for making this possible, and to all of our fantastic cast and crew here at the CITV Club in Room A3. Have a happy and wholesome day, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow in school.